Honorable judges, fellow debaters. Before I start my substantial arguments, I'm going to first make a few rebuttals and move on to a clarification from the cross-examination, and then I'm going to have the following 4 arguments. So first for rebuttals, right? They seem to really emphasize the point of if there's an emergency and a student is stuck in a corner and they cannot escape, then like how will they get out if they don't have a phone? We argue that it's a really rare event, and we believe that this rarity doesn't outweigh the other harms that we have already mentioned and they have failed to prove us wrong, right? Second, we believe that in such cases such as natural disasters like earthquakes, typhoons, tsunamis, whatever that they brought up, we believe that in such cases, first, phone lines are probably broken. Second, if it was a minor natural disaster, then teachers, it's logical for teachers to allow them access to their phones later on, right? We don't believe that. We are not saying that under our side that teachers are being a dictator and they're saying that you can never have access to your phones. We're saying that under reasonable cases, such as the safety of students, that teachers will allow students access to their phones to contact their parents and make sure that the parents know that they are safe. Second, they talked about, they gave us evidence of how using technology aids in class increases academic performance. However, we argue firstly that the evidence was from a Western country. And fundamentally, what our debate is about is in Taiwanese societies. In Taiwan, where our education style is more lecture-based, there is very little chance for teachers to actually implement these teaching aids in class. Right? We believe the teaching aids in class that Taiwanese teachers mostly use are, for example, PowerPoints, things that students do not need access to their phones to enjoy. Right? So we believe that this point doesn't stand on their side. Secondly, we're going to move on to how their plan creates double standard and why it is very unfair for these students. First, they talk about how they're going to split students into groups of people who can self-control and people who cannot and who are addicted to their phones. First, they do not tell us what the standard is. So who is to decide whether or not a student is able to reasonably control their phone usage? Is it up to every subject teacher? Is it up to the homeroom teacher? Is it up to the principal? Right? We don't understand how they are going to dictate who is able to have their phones in class and who is not able to do so. Second, we argue that because it is such unclear rules, we argue that there is a lot of bias that can happen, right? Students that teachers favor probably have access to their phones, while kids that students do not like probably will not have access to their phones. And we believe this sends the wrong message, because if under their side they're arguing that phones can be an educational tool, they do not tell us why, that by splitting students in this biased way, that you can actually separate, or you can tell the people who are addicted that you should try to self-control your phone and therefore have access to it. Second, they talked about why addicted students should they don't tell us why they will have an incentive to hand out their phones, and they do not tell us how the counselor is supposedly going to help them control their addiction. Is the counselor going to take away their phone and talk to them about the harms of phones? We do not believe that is the case, right? Next on this cross-examination, they grilled us on funding of the funding of who takes responsibility of damaged phones, who takes responsibility of funding the lockers. We argue that in the status quo, when there's already contraband in the school, if the school in the status quo right now, there's damage to the contraband that the school takes away, the school is responsible. We say that the same rule applies for phones, right? We say that under our side, phones are now just another form of contraband. So if contraband that the school takes away is now harmed, it is the school's responsibility. And we believe this is aligned with the status quo and the things that the Ministry of Education has already approved. Second, for the funding of lockers, we argue that it is unreasonable for them to assume that all schools do not already have lockers, and it's unreasonable to assume that in student offices right now there are no available desks or cabinets that can be kept. Right? We're just saying that we need the room to be locked for the safety of the phones, but we are not saying that we need extra funding or very high-tech cabinets to store the students' phones. Right? Okay, moving on to my substantial arguments. First, we argue that under our side we decrease cyberbullying. Right? An ideal school setting is a place where students are supposed to feel safe physically and emotionally. But in the status quo right now, more and more students know that any comment or social misstep can lead to them being recorded and having that video or photos spread online. And this kind of environment isn't conducive to learning. In fact, it actually instills a sense of fear in the students, right? The reason why cyberbullying is different from verbal bullying, or why we actually solve cyberbullying, is because cyberbullying has the ability to spread videos and photos, right? This is fundamentally different from what they're saying, right? So we say that without phones, we make it impossible for bullies to take videos and photos of the victims. Thus, we take the power away from cyberbullying. We argue that we eliminate one of the fastest mediums on which rumors, videos, hate speech can be spread, and therefore we win on the argument of cyberbullying. Next, we're going to talk to you about the difference between phones and other technology. The reason why we are only banning phones and not computers, so their case on e-learning, we can still have on our side. We're saying that we will still allow them access to laptops and other forms of educational technology under the approval of the teachers if they believe it is an educational tool. We believe it's because that phones can access their own internet, they can access social media, whereas laptops at school have to be connected to school Wi-Fi and therefore can be regulated by the school. So the things that they can access are regulated. And therefore, we believe by banning phones is actually a more productive way of including technology into the learning environment. Thank you.
First, negative cross-examine. Second, affirmative. 3 minutes.
Good morning. So, first, did you mention that you'll have punishment in your plan?
For the students, we will be issuing demerits to students if they're found to be hiding a second phone. And for the school, we'll be placing fines on schools that do not fully carry out the plan.
Did you say that your plan could reduce cyberbullying?
Yes.
So do you agree that cyberbullying can also be done through done at home?
Yes, but we argue that at school, when you can videotape or take photos of other classmates, because you are gathered in the same space.
So do ban tablets as well?
Personal electronic devices will be banned on our side. So if the tablet you're talking about is one issued by the school, we are fine. But if the tablet is one brought by the student, we are not.
So do you have the percentage of Taiwanese students being cyberbullying at school? Or the victims who are taking photos or videos?
Yes, we'll give it to you.
Okay. You said that phones in school can cause students' mental health. Is that correct?
Yes, it can harm their mental health.
Okay, so is there evidence of a decrease in mental health issues after phones are banned in school?
We argue that because there is a cause that phones cause mental health, that by banning it, we take away the cause.
So
therefore
do
it
you
does
agree
diminish.
that that is not the only factor?
Sure, but we say that our evidence states that because of phones, there's an increase in mental health. Therefore, by removing phones, we take away the cause.
Okay. You mentioned that emergency cases happen very rarely, right?
Yes.
So do you have evidence?
We don't have evidence because it's so rare.
Okay. So do you agree that if an emergency really comes, it could cause hundreds of deaths?
We argue that in those cases, if it was like an earthquake, having your phone on you wouldn't prevent that death because you would still be crushed by infrastructure.
Okay. You mentioned that Taiwanese teacher likes to use lecture or PowerPoints to teach, right?
Yes.
So do you have evidence for that?
I think it is common knowledge that Taiwanese education style is more lecture-based compared to the Western where it's more interaction.
So do you have evidence to show that your punishment is effective?
By issuing demerits is something that schools already take action to students who misbehave. So we believe since it is already a punishment that is going on, it is probably effective.
Okay. Thanks. Did you mention that students can be distracted in class because of phones?
Yes.
So can you state your statement again? Like
Students can be distracted by their phones in class.
no, like how are they distracted?
Oh, they're distracted because they could be playing video games on it, or there's notifications that pops up on their phone that makes them want to check their phone.
Okay, thank you.
1 minute preparation. Second, negative constructive speech. 5 minutes.
Good morning, honorable judges and fellow debaters. We, the negative, strongly believe that cell phones should not be banned in secondary schools. I would like to first rebut 2 main points from the affirmative's assertion, but furthermore question their plan. First, cyberbullying. The affirmative mentioned that banning cell phones may decrease cyberbullying. Yet the affirmative fails to recognize that cyberbullying mostly occurs at home. A According to research conducted by Taiwan's Ministry of Education, Taiwan students spend 7% of their time online at home and 5% at school. And that period of time will not decrease since the ban only extends to when students are in school. Therefore, cyberbullying will still be happening even if students' phones are banned at school because